Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo
625 per bag to the end of the 2025-2026 crop year. Be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, once a producer price has been determined and announced for the crop year, it is legally and contractually binding. Therefore, government cannot, in the course of the particular year, vary the producer price to the disadvantage of the farmer. We, the minority, hereby call on the government as a matter of urgency to restore the producer price of cocoa in Ghana to its original value of 3,625 Ghana cedi per 64 kilogram bag with immediate effect. We also demand that government and Cocoa Board pay any difference that farmers and the LBCs might have suffered already by the recent announcement. Mr. Speaker, I so submit. Thank you so much.
Honourable members, I thank the maker of the statement, but to order that the word "we" in a minority be expunged from the record, since that is not part of the statement before me. Yes, I will call on the majority leader to also read his statement.
Mr. Speaker, I had thought that we would have taken this statement at a time when the Minister for Finance, who is responsible for the sector, would have been in the House to respond. Unfortunately, we have insisted on taking it today, and so I crave your indulgence to just read a statement of the Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, on Wednesday, 11 February 2026, Cabinet convened an emergency session to deliberate over developments in the cocoa sector. The session considered historical and systemic problems confronting the sector and took key decisions. The meeting noted the following developments in the cocoa sector. The 2025-2026 cocoa season began in August 2025 with a producer price at 51,660 Ghana cedis per ton, calculated as 70% of the gross FOB of $7,200 per ton, using an exchange rate of 10.25 cedis to the US dollar. On the 1st of October 2025, Côte d'Ivoire announced a new producer price 20% above that of Ghana. This decision by the Ivorians, coupled with movements in the exchange rate, resulted in significant difference in the producer price of cocoa between Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. This price difference had the potential to trigger significant smuggling of cocoa, Ghana's cocoa, to Côte d'Ivoire. As a result, the Producer Price Review Committee adjusted the producer price to 58,000 Ghana cedis per ton to reflect an exchange rate of 11.5 cedis to the US dollar at the time. The decision by the Producer Price Review Committee to increase the producer price of cocoa made Ghana farm gate price competitive and stemmed the potential smuggling of Ghana's cocoa across to Côte d'Ivoire. From October 2025, Mr. Speaker, the world market price of cocoa started dropping. While the price was declining, Cocoa Board continued to sell the beans until the price went below $6,400 per ton, which is the cost of cocoa from the farmer to the port. Causes of the situation and the way forward. The current situation is largely driven by the unwillingness of buyers to purchase Ghana's cocoa because it has become uncompetitive. Cocoa from other producing countries is now selling at prices significantly lower than the producer price of Ghana. Meanwhile, Cocoa Board did not have the liquidity to purchase cocoa from farmers and stock for hedging or other trading decisions. This was due to the financing model invented in 2025, when the syndicated loan failed. Under that model, the buyers, off-takers, financed the purchases. By 2022, Cocoa Board finances had deteriorated badly. It defaulted and restructured the cocoa bills in 2023. For the first time in 2023, the annual syndication suffered significant delays due to loss of confidence in the Ghanaian economy. The first tranches was received in 22nd December 2023, 4 months after the commencement of the season. Cocoa Board projected an output of 800,000 tons and committed 786,672 tons in contracts in the 2023-2024 crop season. However, actual production was only 432,145 tons, a deviation of 45% from the projected output. 45% deviation in 2023-2024. Variations in crop forecasts typically vary between 5% to 15%. Hence, a deviation of 45% was unprecedented. This resulted in huge rollover contracts of 333,767 tons at an average price of 2,661 per ton. This resulted in a loss of over $1 billion United States dollars, which would have gone to cocoa farmers and other stakeholders. In 2024, Cocoa Board could not pay the final tranches of the syndicated loan, which was due in July 2024, and received a $70 million bridge financing from the Ministry of Finance to avert a default, $70 million. Despite a commitment to repay the $70 million bridge financing owed to the Ministry of Finance, Cocoa Board defaulted, highlighting the dire financial straits of the organization at the time. This debt has since been inherited by the current management of Cocoa Board. Mr. Speaker, it is this context that dictated the proposal that was made by the Minister of Finance. So, what is the proposed reforms? A careful review of the cocoa sector over the last 8 years revealed gross mismanagement, which requires immediate and comprehensive reforms to address the challenges in the sector. Cabinet has therefore decided on the following reforms to guarantee a fair price to farmers, secure the financial viability of the cocoa sector, and ensure the long-term sustainability of the industry. To bring relief to unpaid cocoa farmers, Cabinet has directed Cocoa Board to commence immediate payment of all affected cocoa farmers. B, a new Cocoa Board bill will be presented to Parliament to implement an automatic adjustment of producer price to align with movement in the world market price, exchange rate, and other key variables, and guarantee a minimum of 70% of the gross FOB price to be paid to cocoa farmers. C, a new financing model for cocoa purchases and related operations with associated benefits for increased processing as follows. The current financing model was invented as a necessity after the syndicated loan failed, after 32 years of successful implementation, and it has proven not to be sustainable. The financing models entirely dependent on a buyer's willingness to bear the financing cost and to pre-finance the purchase of cocoa. That's the current financing model. The key motivation for buyers in the previous season was the rollover contracts price at about $2,661 US, when the existing market price were above 8,000 United States dollars per ton. Once the gap between the rollover contracts and the market price closes and the majority of the rollover contracts are serviced, the buyer will not be willing to purchase the crop. Alternatively, the previous syndicated loan model required Cocoa Board to sell forward most of the raw beans to lock in contracts, which repays the loan and serves as the collateral as well. This system did not allow Cocoa Board to optimize prices on the market. In addition, the use of the raw bean contracts as collateral for the loan meant that Ghana could not optimize its installed capacity for processing. The new financing model will utilize domestic cocoa bonds to purchase cocoa and repay with cocoa proceeds within each crop year. The bonds will be used to raise a revolving fund for Cocoa Board to turn around at least once during the season. The model will also revive the indigenous license buying companies that have been completely thrown out of business as a result of the current financing model. The state-owned produce buying company, PBC, will be revived to resume full operation and become the lead license buying company in the cocoa sector. With this new financing model, Cocoa Board can sell beans of any volume to local processing companies to promote value addition and job creation. Cabinet has directed that with immediate effect, the remainder of the beans for the 2025-2026 crop season should be allocated for domestic processing. Cabinet has also directed that beginning from the 2026-2027 crop season, a minimum of 50% cocoa beans should be processed locally. Pursuant to this, the state-owned processing company will be revived as a matter of priority to become the lead processor of the cocoa beans. I have only this morning, together with the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, met with domestic cocoa processors who have indicated their capacity and willingness to process more than 50% cocoa produced in Ghana. An agreement has been reached on that. In order to address the indebtedness inherited by the current management of Cocoa Board, Cabinet has further directed the Minister for Finance to urgently seek parliamentary approval to A, convert part of the legacy debts of about 5 billion Ghana cedis owed to Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana to equity. Cocoa Board currently owes the Ministry of Finance 3.7 billion Ghana cedis, which arose from the conversion of the non-marketable cocoa bills into a loan, and the Bank of Ghana a 10-year loan of 1.38 billion Ghana cedis. The debt conversion will restore positive equity and boost the international and local markets to support the operations of Cocoa Board. This will strengthen the balance sheet of Cocoa Board to enable it implement the new financing model for the purchase of cocoa and related operations. Cabinet has also directed the transfer of cocoa roads liabilities of 4.35 billion to the Ministry of Roads and Highways. From 2014 to 2024, Cocoa Board awarded cocoa contracts of up to 26.5 billion Ghana cedis, with 21.5 billion of contracts awarded in 2018 and 2019, 2020, and 2021 crop years. Despite an agreement under the IMF program in 2023 to rationalize Cocoa Board commitments of 21.7 billion to 6.9 billion, the previous board and management of Cocoa Board failed to conduct this exercise. The exercise has subsequently been completed under the supervision of the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Roads and Cocoa Board jointly conducted this rationalization exercise to reduce the exposure on cocoa roads. Upon the completion of the exercise, the total exposure of 21.7 billion has been reduced to 4.36 billion. Cabinet has directed that the liability of 4.36 billion be transferred to the Ministry of Roads. Cabinet noted that road construction accounts for a significant part of the financial difficulties of Cocoa Board. Pursuant to an earlier announcement by the Minister for Finance, the new Cocoa Board bill prohibits Cocoa Board from all such quasi-fiscal expenditures and non-core activities. As announced in the 2026 budget, Government of Ghana has secured a $500 million World Bank facility to construct agricultural roads, including roads in cocoa growing areas. To ensure accountability and transparency in the management of Cocoa Board and the cocoa sector as a whole, Cabinet has directed the Attorney General to commission concurrent forensic audit and criminal investigations into the activities of Cocoa Board over the last 8 years. Cabinet has directed the Minister of Finance, Cabinet has directed to ensure accountability and transparency in the management of Cocoa Board and the cocoa sector as a whole. Cabinet has directed the Attorney General to commission concurrent forensic audit and criminal investigations into the activities of Cocoa Board over the last 8 years. Cabinet has directed the Minister of Finance to initiate immediate reforms at Cocoa Board to streamline their operations and cut costs, wasteful and uncontrolled expenditure practices. The world market price has dropped significantly from an average of $7,200 per ton to $4,100 per ton, making Ghana's cocoa beans uncompetitive and creating liquidity challenges. To address this, the Producer Price Review Committee met this afternoon to assess the challenges facing the sector and review the producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season. In order to cushion the farmer, the PPRC has recommended that the farmers be paid 90% of the achieved gross FOB of $4,200 to mitigate the adverse impact on the farmer as a result of the fall in the world market price. Consequently, the PPRC announces that effective today, Thursday, 17 February 2026, the new producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season will be 41,392 Ghana cedis per ton and 22,587 Ghana cedis per bag. This measure has become necessary to reflect the reality of the world market price of cocoa, ensure the injection of immediate liquidity for expedited payment of farmers, and guarantee the sustainability of the sector. Mr. Speaker, this is the statement of the Finance Minister in dealing with the cocoa sector. And let me just add in very brief response to the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude my statement. By indicating that there is nothing illegal about what has happened. That cocoa prices can be reviewed upwards and can also be reviewed downwards. And that when you review it downwards, it's not an illegality. Same way, when you review it upwards, it's also not an illegality. So the charge that reviewing it is illegal is unfounded both in law and also in practice. Mr. Speaker, the charge that if the cocoa beans had been sold forward, that we would not have faced this crisis is also unfounded, because indeed a significant portion of the cocoa was sold forward. In every year, it is only a percentage of the cocoa that is part of forward sales. It's not every bean that you do forward sales. Very often you stop at 70% of the cocoa.
Honorable,
all the years.
Honorable
so,
Majority Leader,
it is also not the case.
Majority Leader, you are no longer reading the statement. You are commenting. And the issues relating to legality or otherwise is not part of the statement that I have received. So accordingly, I will order that it be expunged.
Mr. Speaker, as you will know, the circumstances surrounding the making of the statement. I had indicated that we should hold on because I was preparing my side for the statement. Unfortunately, he insisted on, making the statement.
Yes, so you are done. So you allow members to contribute on the statement.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. So clearly, I had to put together different scripts that were at my disposal to make a statement.
Yes.
So it is not that I am commenting on the statement.
Yes,
but the first part of my statement,
that's why
a one piece.
I indicated
and the second part
clearly
is from
the beginning
of the script that I have.
Whether you want your statement to come by way of a comment or you read a statement. The indication was that you read a statement. So, having read your statement, no comment. Yes, honourable members, it is now time for comments. Yes, Honourable Habib.
Mr. Speaker, I did engage the majority chief whip, even though we were proposing to do 10-10 on both sides, but we agreed to do 5-5 and leadership. And then we are making it 6, so we have submitted our list. I engaged the majority chief whip on it.
Yes, majority chief whip.
Speaker, indeed, that's the agreement.
Thank you very much for doing that. So it's now time for comments. I'll give the first lot to Honorable Abu Jinapo. Please, your comment must not generate debate, and you are commenting not more than 5 minutes. You have the floor. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement ably made by the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, I think it's important that we call a spade a spade. Mr. Speaker, what is happening today in our country with regards to the cocoa sector is a direct consequence or result of gross mismanagement, poor governmental judgment, lack of understanding of the international cocoa trading by the government. Mr. Speaker, that is purely what it is. It has nothing to do with all the things the majority leader pointed out. It is clearly a result of mismanagement. And Mr. Speaker, I will explain. Mr. Speaker, the cocoa sector and the cocoa industry is older than our country, Ghana. It's as old as Ghana, if not older, Mr. Speaker. It was very central in the issues which animated our forebears when it came to the struggle for independence. Mr. Speaker, 1 million Ghanaians are involved in the cocoa sector. Directly and indirectly, we are talking about 4 million Ghanaian livelihoods when it comes to the cocoa sector of our country. Mr. Speaker, look, the experts have discussed this matter. They've come to a firm conclusion. The reason why we are in this mess is because, Mr. Speaker, the government made a poor judgment when it comes to trading. They had the opportunity to engage in forward sale. They didn't. Mr. Speaker, they had the opportunity to engage in spot sale when cocoa price was $11,000 per ton. They just did not understand the industry. They did not understand the sector. Mr. Speaker, the question about debt, cocoa debts are as old as the sector and as old as the industry. Mr. Speaker, when the MPP government, the Akufo-Addo government came into office in 2017, the Akufo-Addo government inherited a debt of 19 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, indeed, in 2018 there was a debt. The government of Ghana paid cocoa farmers. In 2020, Ghana had a debt. The government of Ghana paid cocoa farmers. Indeed, last year we had debts. We still pay cocoa farmers. It has nothing to do with debts. Mr. Speaker, it has everything to do with judgment. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, and poor decision making and mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, today, Côte d'Ivoire, our sister country Côte d'Ivoire, almost same population, same industry dynamics. They don't even have premium cocoa. Ghana has premium cocoa. Côte d'Ivoire, in spite of the so-called external factors, in spite of the so-called external shocks and external reduction in international price of cocoa, Cote d'Ivoire today is maintaining their price and paying more to their farmers than Ghanaians are paying. The Ghanaian government is paying to cocoa sectors.
It is true. It is true. It is true.
Mr. Speaker,
You can write it down.
Mr. Speaker, thirdly, never in the history of our country, since President Kwame Nkrumah's time in 1957, have we had such a reduction in cocoa prices in our country. Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat because it has to get home, and the government has to be humble and courageous enough to accept this truth and reality that what we are having today in Ghana generally and the cocoa sector in particular is because of mismanagement. Mr. Speaker, it's because of a lack of understanding of the sector, and indeed it's because of poor judgment when it comes to trading in respect of cocoa. The government must acknowledge that. Mr. Speaker, as I say, we've never had a situation where cocoa prices have reduced in the manner that they've reduced today. Mr. Speaker, what the minority have asked for and what cocoa farmers are asking for, it's not grammar, it's not settings, it's not gimmickry, it's not PR. It's been 11 months. We've had a lot of that. We've had enough of that. What we are asking for and what cocoa farmers are asking for is that they want it. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude, and I conclude on this fundamental point that they want the bailout. Mr. Speaker, they want government to cut down on expenditure when it comes to the cocoa industry, when it comes to cocoa management. You cannot ask cocoa farmers to take a haircut when you are buying land cruisers at Cocoa Board. You cannot ask cocoa farmers to take a haircut when you are renovating your offices. You cannot ask cocoa farmers to take a haircut when the entire value chain is saved. There are no cuts in the entire value chain, and the poor cocoa farmer rather takes the cut.
Please, your time
and
is
therefore,
up.
Mr. Speaker, I really want to conclude, and I hope the majority leader will take this to cabinet, that the president and the government should have the courage, the honesty and sincerity to accept that the reason for the cocoa price cut is because of mismanagement and incompetence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Samsinahi, you have the floor. It's now exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement. Mr. Speaker, I wish to state that we find ourselves in this situation because of the mess.
Honorable Chief Whip, I beg you, with all due respect, Samson, here you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker,
we need to manage the time.
Mr. Speaker, exactly so. Mr. Speaker, we listen to the first contributor from the minority side in silence, in absolute silence. So they must learn to listen to our response in silence.
Honorable Samson, here you have the floor. You will stop at 5 minutes after 5.
Mr. Speaker, we find ourselves in this situation because of the mess that was created under the watch of former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. Mr. Speaker, it is never true that Cote d'Ivoire has maintained their price. Mr. Speaker, can you explain why?
I'll keep your time for you.
Why?
Yes.
Oh.
You may recall that in my original statement, out of great reference to you, when you edited the mention of the president in it, I accepted it, so that there will be so that there will be no issue of debate. Mr. Speaker, with respect, our colleague can make his submission. He should stay away from trying to use those offensive words at no, Mr. Speaker, let's be fair. Colleagues, my original statement, which Mr. Speaker looked at, and I agreed with him that in such matters, certain pronouncements must be out. And I agree. If Mr. Speaker did not allow, permit
something you can make your comment
President Mahama, why you can't
mentioning anybody's name?
Nanado, stop it.
You can make your comment without mentioning anybody's name. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we found ourselves in this situation as a result of the mess caused by the previous administration.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, and I want to state that it is never true that Côte d'Ivoire has maintained their producer price. Because if it is so, the farmers will not even call on government to come and buy their cocoa. Anytime Côte d'Ivoire's price goes up higher than Ghana's price, we will not even hear farmers calling on government to come and buy their cocoa because they will smuggle the cocoa to Côte d'Ivoire. What the farmers are calling on now, it means that our price is even higher than what is being bought in Côte d'Ivoire. Mr. Speaker, we find ourselves in this situation because under the watch of the previous administration, they took a facility from African Development Bank to undertake cocoa rehabilitation. They dedicated $350 million to rehabilitate 156,000 hectares. Mr. Speaker, do you know that the amount, $350 million was spent, and instead of rehabilitating a cocoa to the tune of 156,000 hectares, they did only 40,000 hectares. Only 40,000 hectares.
Why you are working free?
Mr. Speaker, you took a facility, $350 million to rehabilitate 156,000 hectares. The money was spent, the money got finished, they only rehabilitate 40,000 hectares. That was not enough. Under their watch, they went to Bank of Ghana and borrowed $700 million Ghana cedis in addition to rehabilitate 156,000 hectares. They did only 40,000 hectares. Mr. Speaker, they have a lot of questions to answer, to explain to us what they did with the rest of the money. Mr. Speaker, in 2022-2023, under their watch, they took a facility of $800 million to buy cocoa of 800,000 tons. And they said that they were going to use it, they were going to use 786,000 tons to pay for the syndicated loan of $800 million. They only delivered 400,000 plus a ton. And they couldn't deliver 336,000 tons. We came in, Mr. Speaker, to pay for this mess that they created under their watch. They should explain to us why you go and borrow money, $800 million to buy cocoa, 800,000 tons. You bought only 400,000, but you spent all the $800 million.
Where is the other?
Explain to us. What happened to the rest of the money? These are questions they should answer. Mr. Speaker, cocoa price in this country is not announced in vacuum. Cocoa price is announced based on the prevailing market price at the world market. Mr. Speaker, the beginning of 2025-2026 cocoa season. 2025-2026 cocoa season.
You have 1 minute more.
We agree, Mr. Speaker, at that time, a ton of cocoa was 7,200. And because we have promised cocoa farmers that we will pay 70%, we gave them $5,040, which brought it to $10,000 625 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, 7,200. As we speak, on Friday, a ton of cocoa at the world market was $3,600 per ton. Instead of $7,200. If you are reasonable government, a prudent government, a diligent government, what you do is that you have to
Honorable Samson Ahi, your time is up. I then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Kojo Nkrumah. Honorable Kojo Nkrumah is out the floor.
Let me conclude, Mr. Speaker. And so, our colleagues...
Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, you have the floor. Honorable Samson Ahi, your time is up. Please, your time is up. Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, you have the floor. It's now 7 minutes after 5. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this statement. The gravamen of the submission from this side of the House is that just as Cabinet convened on an emergency basis to announce a reduction in the prices, we are asking Cabinet to reconvene and restore the bag price to 3,625 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, for those of us from the cocoa growing villages, this is not a matter of FOB 70%, 90%, or some of the technical jargons being put here. This is a matter of life and death for many cocoa farmers. Mr. Speaker, early this morning I got a call from a gentleman named as Kofi from a village known as Kwabwedi number 2 in my constituency. He has taken 200 bags of cocoa from cocoa farmers. He's a purchasing clerk and has made those 200 bags available to the DO. After this announcement, the cocoa farmers say they know they've sold their cocoa at the old price of 3,625. And the DOs are now telling them that because Cocoa Board has not evacuated, they are going to buy it at the new price. What this means, Mr. Speaker, is that for a purchasing clerk like Kofi, who has taken 200 bags of cocoa, he alone is now making a loss of about 200,000 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, how many of us here, members of parliament, ministers of state, can bear a loss of 200,000 Ghana cedis and survive? This is a matter of life and death for many people. It is not a simple matter of some of the numbers that are being bandied about. Mr. Speaker, the result of this decision is that, first of all, there's going to be poverty in the local communities where cocoa is the mainstay of economic activity. About 1 million Ghanaians are involved in the cocoa growing sector. And when you cut every bag by 1,000 Ghana cedis, their income is what you are cutting, Mr. Speaker. In the years ahead of us, what you are going to realize is happening is that the motivation for a lot of young people to go into cocoa production is going to wane, Mr. Speaker. In previous times, I remember, I think in the 2018-2019 year, cocoa prices on the world market went down. I was in that cabinet meeting when Yao Safumafu, then senior minister, put up a strong advocacy that it cannot be that the government of Ghana will look cocoa farmers in the eye and cut their prices. And true to it, the government did not cut cocoa prices. In fact, prices rose from 475 Ghana cedis or so to about 3,100, despite the reduction in prices sometimes on the global market. Today, it is shocking to hear our colleagues on the other side say global or external factors. A few years ago, when we were telling them about the impact of external factors, they were laughing and saying that it is not possible. Today, they want to rely on external factors as a basis to cut cocoa prices by 1,000 Ghana cedis per bag. Mr. Speaker, another thing that is going to happen in the cocoa sector is that trust and credibility when it comes to policies in this area is going to suffer. Today, the government is starting conversations about introducing local financing. Who is going to have confidence in the ideas that you are mentioning when in the same cocoa year, you promise the people a price of 3,600 only to, in that same year before it ends, reduce it to about 2,500? Mr. Speaker, I conclude by this submission. Our colleagues on the other side, when they were in opposition, promised the Ghanaian cocoa farmer that what is due them is actually 6,500 Ghana cedis. Their 3,600 did not even meet the 6,500 they promised. And now even the 3,100 that the previous administration left for them, they want to now cut it down to 2,500. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the 1 million cocoa farmers of this country, we beg them to go back to cabinet and restore the 3,625 Ghana cedis for the cocoa farmers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
I now
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.